All right, so let's dive into something I know a lot of us think about pretty often, and that's personal finance.
Mm-hmm.
And you have brought some excerpts from Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover workbook,
Yes.
which this guy is pretty well known for his no-nonsense approach.
He is, yeah.
So let's unpack some of his key ideas
Right.
and see how they apply to maybe our listeners out there.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think a lot of people struggle with this.
Absolutely.
Just getting a grasp on their money. And Ramsey's a big advocate for just kind of tough love.
Yeah.
Like, you really just need to take ownership of your finances.
Yeah, and he starts out with a real kick-in-the-pants statistic.
Oh, yeah.
70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
That's scary.
If that doesn't make you pause,
Yeah.
I don't know what will.
Yeah.
So, imagine if you lost your job tomorrow.
Yeah.
How long could you actually keep things going?
That's where the workbook's financial mirror exercise comes in.
Oh.
It's this idea of, like, you need to confront your reality, even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like taking a financial selfie, warts and all.
Okay, so I'm picturing this financial selfie, and
Yeah.
I'm already squirming a bit.
Yeah.
But let's say you look in the mirror and you realize, yikes, I need a makeover.
Right.
Where do you even begin?
Well, Ramsey tackles debt head on.
Okay.
Right off the bat, he busts some common myths,
Okay.
like the idea that debt's a tool
Mm.
or that you need a credit card to have good credit. In fact, he uses this wild example.
Okay.
He talks about how Sears makes more money from credit card interest
Really?
than they do from selling actual merchandise.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So they're making more money off of you being in debt
Yeah,
than actually buying their stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why he is such a big proponent of using cash.
Okay.
He says, it's a psychological thing.
Mhm.
When you're parting with physical bills,
Yeah.
it just feels more real than swiping a card.
It does. I totally get that. I think twice before handing over cash, for sure.
Yeah.
But what about, the risk of getting robbed?
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And Ramsey acknowledges that concern,
Okay.
but then he points out that identity theft is also a huge risk these days.
It's true.
So it's all about weighing those risks.
Right. Right.
But, realizing that carrying cash can be a powerful tool
Yeah.
to curb spending.
Okay. So let's say you've taken a hard look at your finances
Mm-hmm.
and debt is staring back at you.
Right.
Ramsey's famous for this thing called the debt snowball method.
Yes.
Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so think of it like rolling a snowball downhill.
Okay.
It starts small, but as it rolls, it gathers more snow
Mm-hmm.
and gains momentum.
Okay.
So basically, you list your debts from smallest to largest,
Okay.
regardless of interest rate,
Oh, interesting.
and then you attack that smallest one first.
So you're not necessarily going after the one with the highest interest rate.
Right. It might seem counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But there's a powerful psychological aspect to it.
Okay.
When you knock out those smaller debts first,
Uh-huh.
it gives you those quick wins,
Oh,
which keeps you motivated to keep going.
so it's like almost like a reward system.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, as you pay off each debt,
Mm-hmm.
it frees up more cash to throw at the next one,
Okay.
creating that snowball effect.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the workbook tells this amazing story about an average couple,
Yeah.
Terry and Tina,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they paid off $118,000 in debt
Yeah.
in 6 years using this method.
That's incredible.
That's got to be such a huge confidence booster.
Oh, absolutely. It shows the power of small, consistent actions
Right.
leading to big results.
Right.
But let's face it, even with the best plan,
Yeah,
life can throw curveballs.
absolutely.
So what happens if a crisis hits
Right.
before you're debt-free?
Oh, yeah. That's a scary thought.
That's why Ramsey stresses the importance of having an emergency fund. This financial cushion to handle those unexpected expenses without going further into debt.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But saving up 3 to 6 months worth of expenses,
Right.
it seems so daunting.
It does.
It's like, where do you even find that extra money?
It definitely takes discipline. But remember, Terry and Tina,
Yeah.
if they could pay off 6 figures of debt,
Right.
you can build a solid emergency fund.
Sure.
And Ramsey even talks about how
Yeah.
men and women often view emergency funds differently. He says, men tend to be more like, okay, we got to get this done so we can start investing.
Oh, yeah.
And women are more focused on like that sense of security.
Okay, yeah.
But the point is you need that safety net
Right.
before you can really start building wealth.
It's interesting how, those different perspectives can play a role.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you've got that emergency fund,
Yeah.
let's talk retirement.
Okay.
I will admit that feels pretty far off right now. Is it really that important to start thinking about it like this early?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It all comes down to the magic of compound interest.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It's like a snowball rolling downhill. The earlier you start, the bigger it gets.
Okay.
Ramsey recommends investing 15% of your pre-tax income.
Wow, 15%.
Yeah.
Seems like a huge chunk, especially when there are so many other things to
Right.
pay for right now.
It is a significant commitment,
Yeah.
but remember, time is your greatest asset
Okay.
when it comes to investing.
Right?
And to illustrate that point, the workbook tells the story of Joe and Susie Average.
Okay.
They consistently invested 15% in a Roth IRA
Okay.
and ended up with a $7.5 million nest egg.
Hold on, $7.5 million.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's pretty incredible.
Okay, I need to hear more about this Roth IRA thing.
Okay, so a Roth IRA
Yeah.
is a type of retirement account where you contribute after-tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So you're paying taxes on that money now.
Okay.
But when you retire and start taking withdrawals, that money is tax-free.
So you're paying taxes now, but not later.
Exactly.
And
And that's what makes it so beneficial.
Especially if you're, in a higher tax bracket
Right.
when you retire.
Exactly.
That sounds pretty sweet.
It is. It's all about strategizing and playing the long game.
Okay.
Plus, with the Roth IRA, you have more flexibility.
Okay.
You can actually withdraw your contributions penalty-free
Oh,
before retirement if you need to.
that's good to know.
Although it's always best to leave those funds alone to grow.
Right, of course.
But it's good to have that option.
Yeah.
In case of emergency.
This is making a lot more sense now.
Good.
But let's be real. Retirement isn't the only big expense
Right.
looming on the horizon.
Yeah.
What about saving for college?
That is a huge financial hurdle for a lot of families.
It is.
And Ramsey, he acknowledges the pressure
Yeah.
to fund your kid's education,
Mm-hmm.
but he is adamant about avoiding student loans.
Hmm.
At all costs, he has a whole set of rules for college.
I got it, right.
Research is key.
Okay.
He encourages exploring affordable options like community college for the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Hunting down scholarships, considering work-study programs.
Okay.
There are so many creative ways to fund college
Yeah.
without going into debt.
So it sounds like he's really pushing for, parents and their kids to have these open and honest conversations about the cost
Absolutely.
of college.
Yeah, it's about setting realistic expectations
Okay.
and making sure everyone's on the same page.
Okay, now once you've tackled debt,
Yeah.
built your emergency fund,
Mm-hmm.
and started investing for retirement and college,
Right.
it's time to think about the big one,
Yeah.
the mortgage.
It's a mortgage.
It's the American dream, right?
That is.
But it's also a huge financial commitment. What's Ramsey's take on this?
Well, he's all about becoming debt-free.
Okay.
And that includes your mortgage. He busts some common myths,
Okay.
like the idea that you should keep a mortgage for tax deductions.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, it can be misleading.
Okay.
Sure, there might be some tax advantages,
Mm-hmm.
but in the long run, being mortgage-free
Yeah.
gives you incredible financial peace of mind.
Okay.
He also warns about the risks
Okay.
of those adjustable rate mortgages
Yeah.
and those tempting home equity lines of credit.
Yeah, those can be dangerous if you're not careful.
They can be.
It's easy to get in over your head.
It is. It's all about educating yourself,
Mhm.
understanding the terms and conditions,
Right.
and making sure you know the mortgage fits your financial goals
Okay.
and risk tolerance.
This whole deep dive is really highlighting
Yeah.
the importance of knowledge
Yeah.
and planning.
Absolutely.
It's like once you understand how things work,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually make smarter decisions
Right.
and really take control of your money.
Exactly. It's about becoming financially empowered. And that leads us to Ramsey's concept of the pinnacle point.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What's the pinnacle point all about?
So think of it as like the ultimate financial goal,
Okay.
the point where you've reached financial freedom
Okay.
and your money works for you,
Mhm.
not the other way around.
Okay.
You've paid off your debts, you're investing consistently,
Mm-hmm.
and you're on track for a comfortable retirement.
That sounds amazing,
It does.
but also pretty far off.
It can feel that way.
How do you even get to that point?
Well, Ramsey uses this analogy of riding a bike
Mm-hmm.
up a steep hill.
Okay.
And you know how you use those switchbacks?
Right.
You're zigzagging back and forth
Yeah.
to conquer that incline?
Yeah.
It's the same idea. It's about taking those small, consistent steps
Right.
toward your goal.
I like that. It makes it seem more attainable.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about this giant leap.
Mm.
It's about those small, steady efforts.
Exactly.
Over time.
And once you reach that pinnacle point, you're not just financially secure,
Okay.
but you're also free to pursue your passions, give back to others,
right.
live a life of purpose.
But there is this potential pitfall.
There is.
That Ramsey talks about. Something he calls affluenza.
Affluenza.
It sounds not good.
It doesn't sound good.
So what is affluenza?
So it's this idea that once you achieve financial success, you can get caught up in keeping up with the Joneses, constantly striving for more and losing sight of what truly matters.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Like having the financial security, but also, living a meaningful life.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about defining your own version of success.
Okay.
And making choices that align with your values.
This has been incredibly helpful.
Oh, good.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not just about following this set of rules. It's about really understanding the principles behind them and adapting them to your own life.
That's the key takeaway.
Right.
Ramsey's workbook provides a framework, but it's up to you to personalize it and make it work for your situation.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into Dave Ramsey's world, what are some of the key things that you want our listeners to remember? Yeah, it's like we've laid out this whole roadmap for financial success. But then there's this curveball called affluenza.
Right.
Is it even possible to be financially successful?
Yeah.
And not fall into that trap?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And I think the answer lies in being intentional
Okay.
about your values. Ramsey talks about this a lot, like really defining what truly matters to you and making sure your financial goals align with those values.
So it's not just about hitting a certain net worth or income level.
Exactly.
It's more about what that money allows you to do to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it. What would financial freedom look like for you?
For me, it would be the freedom to spend more time with my family, to travel, to pursue creative projects without worrying about that bottom line.
Right.
What about you?
I think for me, it's that security of knowing I can handle whatever life throws my way, but also the ability to support causes I care about.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And, that's the thing that Ramsey really emphasizes, too. It's not just about accumulating wealth.
Right.
It's about using it for good.
Yeah.
He's a big believer in generosity.
He is. He talks about how true wealth isn't measured by your bank balance, but by the impact you have on the world.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We talked about confronting your financial reality, tackling debt, building an emergency fund, investing for retirement and college.
Right.
And even becoming mortgage-free.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's also incredibly empowering.
It is.
Ramsey's approach can be tough.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly effective.
Yeah.
It's about taking control of your finances instead of letting them control you.
And it's about realizing that financial freedom isn't some far-off dream.
Right.
It's something you can achieve with the right mindset and consistent action.
You got it.
Remember that analogy of the bike ride up the hill?
Yeah.
It's those small, steady steps that get you to the top.
They do.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover workbook, what's the one thing you hope our listeners walk away with?
I hope they feel inspired and empowered to take action, even if it's just one small step today, like creating a budget, setting up an emergency fund, or making a list of their debts.
Right.
It all starts with that first step.
Absolutely. So, to our listener, I'll leave you with this.
What's that one small step you can take today to move closer to your financial goals?
Good question.
Take a moment to think about it.
Yeah.
And remember, you got this.
You do.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into personal finance.
Yes. Thank you.
Until next time.